Welcome. We are so excited to be back together again for our 7th annual Focal Point Conference. This is our biggest focal point yet, with hundreds of people joining us virtually and in person from 26 countries around the world. Please take a moment to introduce yourself in your chat so that we know who is in the room. Write your name, your organization, and where in the world you are tuning in from. I want to take this opportunity to thank Shalom Corps for partnering with us on Focal Point Fest 2022. Much gratitude as well to all of our Focal Point sponsors, marketing partners, champions, and staff, and to Olam's board and funders for their support year-round. You can find a list of all those individuals and entities on the conference website. Many of you told us what you wanted from Focal Point this year, and we listened. And that's why the motto of Focal Point is your network, your way. Your network because there are increased opportunities to network with more staff of our partner organizations, new and potential individual members, Jewish communal leaders and funders, students of our academic partners, and alumni of our global service organizations. We're thrilled you have joined us. And your way because we know that Zoom fatigue is real and we do not expect people to be sitting for hours on the screen. So we created a diverse agenda for you and invite you to attend only those sessions most relevant. Although many global conferences have gone back to being fully in person, I am proud that we've decided to experiment with a different model that of virtual offerings combined with in-person events, in order to make our gathering as inclusive as possible and to do our small part to lessen our carbon footprint. We hope you'll join us at in-person events in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, London, Washington, D.C., New York City, Kampala, and Kigali. Olam is a network of organizations and individual members, but ultimately we're about people. We do not take for granted the countless people in our network and beyond who volunteer their time to share their expertise with others, who facilitate and moderate sessions at our gatherings and trainings, who are willing to speak honestly about their failures and learnings, and much, much more. These are people who are not only committed to their own personal and professional growth and their organization's success, but also see the big picture and the value of being part of a community and a field. Olam would be nothing without them, without you. And so I'd like to take a moment to shine a light on 3 such people, long-standing members of Olam's Practitioners Network, who left their organizations and our fields this year. Lilach Shafir, Yonatan Bram, and Eliran Duanias. Lilach was at American Jewish World Service for 11 years, most recently as Director of International Education and Jewish Engagement. She spoke at the very first Focal Point Conference 7 years ago and at several since. Lilach is always committed to doing her work in the most thoughtful way possible, considering the ethical consequences and being open to growth in order to best serve the populations she was looking to support. She brings this commitment to Olam's network, sharing some of her experiences on our Do No Harm webinar series, our Shalom Corps training videos, and other opportunities. Lilach often talks about the value of humility and anava, and Lilach embodies those values. Yonatan served as the executive director of Tevel B'Tzedek. He led the organization through the tough time of the pandemic, pivoting their programs, opening up a new location, developing a new model of working. And he did all of that with grace and a sense of humor. And somehow he still found the time to be an active and contributing member of Olam's network, participating in the launch webinar for our Aspire Ethical Best Practice program, speaking at Focal Point, and joining us at 3 delegations to Hillel International's annual conference. We thank Yonatan for his time of service. And lastly, Eliran, who is at JDC GRID, JDC's International Development and Disaster Response Unit. Eliran participated in the My Olam video series, talking about how he first got involved in this work and inspiring young Jews to get similarly involved. He's also participated in and spoken at Focal Point, including at last year's plenary on humanitarian crises. And I will always remember my time with Eliran in Ethiopia, visiting the Tov project he oversaw as part of a delegation that was led by President Rivlin and Chief Rabbi Mervis back in 2018. 4 years later, the mud is still caked on my boots from that site visit that day. Lilach, Yonatan, and Eliran, you will be greatly missed, and your impact on Olam and our network will continue for years to come. We look forward to seeing what you do next and wish you much luck in this next phase. As I mentioned, this is our 7th annual Focal Point Conference, and it coincides with the final months of Shemitah, the sabbatical year, the 7th year of an agricultural cycle in Jewish tradition. Shemitah calls upon us to recalibrate our relationships to the land, to the most vulnerable in society, and to the economic systems in which we function. The Babylonian Talmud records a tradition that ultimately redemption will come at the end of the Shemitah year, after a period of war and intense disruption. Let this be a reminder that even in periods of darkness, there's a potential for hope, and that the key to unlocking the promise of a better future is to tap into our deepest values and principles as a people, those related to how we treat each other and how we treat the world we inhabit. One of the many people breathing new life into the ancient Shemitah ritual is our next speaker, Alon Tal. Alon is the founder of the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies, one of Olam's 65 partner organizations. A leader in the Israeli environmental movement, he worked primarily in the nonprofit sector before being elected as a member of Israel's parliament in this most recent government. He has used his unique position to serve as a bridge between Israel and Jewish communities around the world and to galvanize people around sustainability and the environment. Immediately after hearing from Alon, you will hear from my colleague, Yael, as well as some of the people in our diverse network. And you will have a unique opportunity to meet with participants in intimate groups in 2 rounds of live networking. I hope you have a wonderful Focal Point Fest week.
I'm here to congratulate the Olam Network on its incredible work and salute you on this important day. I'm a huge fan of Olam because, well, I have personal connections there. The Olam communications director, Nomi Littstein, was one of my star master students. So, of course, I'm sure to get her message. And my wonderful wife, Robin, for years now, has been a member of the staff in NALA, one of the incredible NGOs that makes the Olam Network what it is. My own passion in terms of addressing global crisis involves the global climate crisis. This is an issue which requires us all to be on board. For far too long, the issue of climate justice was framed as a need to let the poor countries of the world off as we all moved in this transition to a low-carbon economy. But that doesn't make any sense because we all need to be part of this change. The world has to help the developing countries to be part of the solution, whether it be through assisting them through afforestation and carbon sequestration program, helping them to move to a renewable electricity system, or to simply give them better food security through low carbon drip irrigation methods. These are just the kind of challenges that the organizations in Olam address every single day. And I'm so glad that the Jewish world has come together to make this world a better place, to make Tikkun Olam something that we just don't read in the Aleinu when we pray every day, but something that we see as a real core mission of the Jewish people as we try to realize our mission of turning this country and turning this planet in the kind of place that the Almighty would approve of. Good luck to you and your ongoing work.
Thank you, Diana and Alon. Hi, everyone. My name is Yael Shapira, and I'm Olam's Director of Network Engagement and Programs, and I'm so excited to welcome you to Focal Point Fest. It's hard to believe that this is the 5th Focal Point conference that I've planned. It never gets old to see so many of our partners, members, and friends come together in one space. And I'm sure, similar to previous years, that I will leave Focal Point feeling inspired and motivated to work with our network another year, and maybe also a bit tired. Focal Point is a team effort, and I happen to have the most hardworking, qualified, fun, and supportive team. I want to give a shout out to my colleagues, Amy, Naomi, Emma, and Angela, to our interns, Sammy and Lisa, and to our incredible leader, Diana. Also, thank you to Eric and the Mills James production team who brought their technical magic. I couldn't have done any of this without all of you. Now that you know who we are, we want to know who you are and where you are. I'd like to direct you all to the link in the chat, which leads you to a world map. Take a moment to write your name and pin yourself to wherever in the world you are currently located, so that we can see how far-reaching our network is. Our producer, Eric, will demonstrate now. As you'll see, he clicks on the plus sign on the top right, typing in the location, and then typing in the name, and then hit publish. So take a few moments to go to that link and show us where you're tuning in from. Okay, I see someone from the UK. We have your East Coast, Israel, of course. Okay, we are going to check back in with the map fully shortly and see where you all are. So as you spend the next 3 days with us virtually, I want to make sure that you know how to make the most of this Focal Point Fest website. So here are a few tips. First, if you haven't done so yet, please complete your profile on the top right of your screen. Add a photo, bio, and interests so that people can find you and connect with you. Make sure to keep your eyes out for a new red notification on the envelope icon on the top right. That's where you will see if someone wrote you a direct message. Next, when you go to the agenda on the homepage, you can add sessions of interest to My Agenda by clicking on the icon at the top right of the session, and also save those sessions to your own email calendars. The agenda is also where you can access the link to all your sessions, besides brain dates, which you'll access on the left side. Brain date meetings have all been pre-assigned to those who registered before the deadline. And please note that the link to join sessions will appear only a few minutes before the sessions begin. On the left side of your screen, you'll find a list of our hundreds of participants. Use the filter to see which sectors and countries people work in, and send messages to connect with people you want to meet. You can start a video chat on the website or exchange details to connect later. Students, those of you new to the field, and Jewish communal professionals, check out the Opportunity Fair on the bottom left to learn about volunteer, academic, and fellowship opportunities from our partners. You may want to refresh your page on the conference website each day, since we will be making or maybe making some final updates, and that's how you will be able to see all the current information. And finally, take and share photos of your experience and post about it on social media with the hashtag FocalPointFest. Make sure to tag Olam, yourself, and others. As Diana mentioned, this year we're encouraging you to only join sessions that are relevant to you. I want to highlight 5 sessions. All CEOs and executive directors of Olam's 65 partner organizations are invited to join the Executive Matters session that's exclusively for you. This high-level discussion about today's challenges and solutions will be facilitated by our friends Michal Brook, CEO of NALA, and Paul Anticoni, Chief Executive of World Jewish Relief. That's today at 12 Eastern Time or 7 Israel time. Practitioners and Jewish leaders, meet your peers at our sector-specific conversations, facilitated by experts in our network. Choose out of 9 sectors and discuss current trends, best practices, and get advice from others. There will be 2 rounds, so you can take part in discussions about 2 different sectors. You won't want to miss the session on the Jewish response to the Ukraine crisis, where we will be launching the results of Olam's first of its kind research on the unprecedented Jewish response to the Ukraine crisis, and hear lessons already learned. Students, young professionals, and others looking to start a career in international development and aid, join a career panel and get tips from experts on how to find jobs during these changing times. Finally, Partners and Members Exclusive on Thursday is a time for those who are at the core of our network, all staff of our partner organizations and our individual members, to get to know each other a bit better with some fun activities and to hear from the CEO and President of UNICEF USA, Michael Nienhuis, about UNICEF's global priorities. If you want to join the session but are not yet a member, you're in luck. Click on the link in the chat to find out more about our individual membership and sign up today. And of course, it goes without saying that if you are in Israel, New York City, DC, or Kampala, we hope to see you at our in-person events. We already kicked off the week yesterday with successful events in Kigali and London. You can RSVP via the links in the chat or on the website. For those of you who have been to a number of Focal Point conferences, know that each year we do it a little differently. A lot of the changes we make are based on what we hear from you, people in our network. Therefore, we are asking in advance that you take a few minutes to fill in the short feedback form we will send after the conference and tell us about your experience so that we can continue to make Focal Point relevant and interesting. Thanks in advance. Finally, as promised, I am thrilled to announce the 2 deserving winners of our raffle for the most referrals of new Focal Point attendees. The winners are, drum roll please, Gabrielle Richards from the organization Yahel Israel, and Jody Ramsey from our partner organization Mensch in South Africa. Thank you for helping to spread the word and keep your eyes out for an email in your inbox. And now I will stop talking and I will leave you to learn a bit more about who is in the Olam network. In the remainder of this session, we will show you 2 rounds of vignettes spotlighting some of the great people in our network and the very important work they are doing. In between, we will break out into small groups so that you can quickly connect with a few others who are here live. This will give you a taste of the potential networking and connections ahead, both at Focal Point Fest and throughout the year. And with that, introducing you to Your Network, Your Way.
Hi, I'm Rabbi David Jaffe, and I lead Kirva, the Inside Out Wisdom and Action Project. We integrate Jewish spiritual wisdom with the work of social change. And I'm also an Olam Fellow, studying in partnership between Olam and the Shalom Hartman Institute about global justice.
Hi, I'm Diana Steinberg. I was born in Argentina and grew up in Bolivia. And this year I am a JSC Fellow through Olam's partner JDC Entwine. And I was placed with the Olam partner JDC Grid, which is the international development arm of the JDC.
Hi, I'm Sam Sittenfield, and I'm Repair the World's Director of National Partnerships. My job is to motivate, inspire, and equip the American Jewish community to show up and volunteer in their communities in support of social change. I'm connected to Olam by a shared commitment for the Jewish community and our neighbors to be serving to create a more just world, whether domestically or abroad.
My name is Olubumi. I am from Nigeria and joining you today from Beersheba. I'm a money therapist working to end world poverty. I'm also an MA student in the African Sustainable Communities Program at Olam's partner organization, the Africa Center of the Ben-Gurion University of the Negev.
Dismantling anti-Black racism as a Jewish spiritual practice is really one of our main things we've been working on this past year. We're bringing Jewish spiritual technologies like Musar, which is applied Jewish ethics, and Hasidic practices, applied Jewish mysticism, to bear on the crucial work of dismantling racism. It's been such a big focus of North American Jewish communities over the last 2 years since George Floyd's murder and the racial justice uprising. There's been such great work done in that area. And what we're doing now is bringing Jewish spiritual practice and wisdom into that work so people can sustain it, be grounded, and do more holistic work in this area as we really try to make a dent in anti-Black racism here and all racism. We are supporting Jewish leaders working on issues of social justice, a variety of issues from climate change, immigration, housing, and of course the work of eliminating racism by grounding their work, again, in Jewish spiritual wisdom and practice. And finally, we are connecting Israel and diaspora around justice issues, particularly in our work with the Hartman Institute through the Olam Hartman Fellowship. We are really trying to hold out that global justice needs both a Israeli approach, which is coming from a place of sovereignty, national sovereignty, and also a powerful North American Jewish community perspective as well.
Volunteering as a JSC Fellow has been an amazing experience. As my year comes to an end, I'm starting to think of all the amazing things that I've done with JDC Grid and as a fellow and with the cohort. And something that really stood out to me was how quickly I was able to become a part of the team and all the experiences that I was allowed to have. It's as much as you put into it that you take out, and I think it has been a really worthwhile year. I was able to travel to Ethiopia and visit some of the team there and see some of our projects. I worked on things like women's economic empowerment and the health innovation program, and just become a part of the team. And I think that's what I'll be taking away the most and taking it forward to the future. I chose a Jewish program and a global program because I've always been drawn to Tikkun Olam work with a Jewish lens. After always working in nonprofits, I moved to London, and I also was really connected to the Jewish community through Tikkun Olam and international development work in different ways. So I decided to expand my field a little bit and try out doing this placement in Israel.
In the past 2 years, Repair the World has been lucky enough to start investing more in our relationships with global service organizations like Olam and JDC Entwine, as well as partnering more deeply with Jewish engagement organizations with international footprints like Hillel International and Moishe House, through the funding provided by JCRIF, the Jewish Communal Response and Impact Fund. We are making sure that young Jews and their peers are able to find ethical pathways to sustainable service, understanding their actions through Jewish values and identity.
This past year, I have acquired a deeper understanding of the development issues in Africa. I have come to see how Africa can solve her own problems, whether they are self-imposed or not. I chose to study in Israel because of her giant strides at only 74 years of age. More specifically, though, I saw the Africa Center as an organization that's committed to unearthing the gems in Africa. And I do not refer to the physical or material gems, but the human capital which forms the truly inexhaustible and growing resource in Africa. If an organization is taking me so seriously, I should reciprocate that. Studying at BGU has brought me face to face with the origin of problems and, most importantly, the myriad of solutions that exist to solve these problems. With just a little tweak in approach, many African communities can become sustainable through the development projects that take place within them. As well, I have enjoyed the warmth and support of the Israelis I have been privileged to interact with, both on and off campus. My time here has fueled my resolve to become even more compassionate. It takes courage to be compassionate, and I'm finding that courage each day.
Some of our visions for success in the coming year include we really want to build a deeper sense of common purpose in the work of global justice among diaspora, particularly U.S. and Israeli leaders. We want Black Jews and all Jews of color to feel more welcome and a sense of belonging in mainstream Jewish communities. And we want to build a greater acceptance among Jewish social change makers of the role the inner life plays in sustainable justice work, so our work over the long haul can be grounded, can be holistic, and can be hopeful.
My next steps are going to be, I'm actually staying in Israel, and I'm going to be working at Tel Aviv University in the International Programs Department. And I think this is a great way to stay engaged globally, because I'll be helping students come into Israel and do programs such as disaster management or international development or sustainable development, and also helping students from Israel go abroad and finish their studies elsewhere. And it's a nice way to connect people in that field and bring everyone together and can continue the great work that this field can do.
One of the questions that we're continuing to explore with Olam is how we can help young people in the Jewish community balance their sense of obligation to local and global communities. Geographic distance can make it harder to focus on an injustice if you're not proximate, but sometimes confronting an injustice in your own city that you're not directly impacted by is difficult because you feel more implicated, and it's less emotionally burdensome for you to just ignore it. Together, we can elevate the importance of balancing these obligations, making opportunities for people to work and serve in places and on the issues that ignite them, whether in the United States or abroad. We also have so many best practices to share to make sure that our service work is meaningful for our participants and impactful for our communities that we're serving alongside. I'm most excited about Repair the World and Olam's work because we are setting up the next generation of Jewish communal leaders to take ethical and just action towards a more just world, which in turn will develop a resilient, vibrant, and engaged Jewish community.
Over the next 12 months, success for me will be measured in terms of the overall impact of financial literacy on the psychological well-being of low-income earners in rural communities within Nigeria. Everyone interacts with money, and so everyone should be empowered to interact with his or her money. Therefore, I will deliver lessons on personal finance management and entrepreneurship in the indigenous language of southwestern Nigeria, in the Yoruba language. It is my conviction that these efforts will improve the chances at happiness, a sense of purpose, and that feeling of being in control of one's future. And with such a motivated mass of otherwise vulnerable people gathered around the vision to build Africa from within, we will be well on our way to achieving Olam's vision, a more just and compassionate world for all. Thank you.
Now that you have heard from a few people in our network, you will be able to introduce yourself and meet a few more through live networking. We will now break you into rooms with a couple of other participants. Spend the next 10 or so minutes saying who you are, where you're from, what you do, and set intentions by sharing what you hope to get out of Focal Point Fest. Once the breakout room appears on your screen, click join. If you are able to, please turn on your camera. We'll meet you back here shortly for another set of video vignettes. Enjoy your conversations. Okay, so welcome back. I hope you enjoyed meeting new people. I will just share again for those who missed it. If you are either offering a brain date topic or you are joining as a participant, the brain date session and link to join will appear 5 minutes before the start of the brain date on the left-hand side of the website. So if you're not seeing anything now, don't worry about it. It will show up soon. So now stick around for a bit longer so that you can hear from a few more people in our network.
Hi, I'm Doreen Brenner-Turjaman, the head of operations at NALA, based in Tel Aviv.
And namaste everyone. From Palghar, India, my name is Thaisa Dias, and I work with Gabriel Project Mumbai as their senior manager.
NALA is an organization that works to eliminate diseases of poverty that are caused due to poor hygiene and lack of access to adequate sanitation and water facilities. NALA is a partner organization and a longtime collaborator with Olam, and is working to implement Israeli ingenuity and innovation in the efforts to eliminate these diseases.
Gabriel Project focuses on 4 core areas of healthcare, education, nutrition, and livelihood. Over the years in our work, we have seen the impact that partnerships have on the community. And we strongly believe that social change is best achieved when people and organizations work together. Olam has been this platform for us to foster these partnerships and increase the impact of our work. It has connected us with amazing organizations like Nala that has brought in their expertise and skill to our projects in Maharashtra, India.
My name is Jonathan Araghetti, and I'm the Humanitarian Communications Coordinator for CARE USA, and I'm also an individual member of Olam. In my personal life, I'm very involved in my Jewish community, and Olam provides me a professional outlet to connect with fellow Jewish practitioners in the humanitarian and development space internationally.
Hi, my name is Ophélie. I am the managing director of Mindset PCS, which is an advisory company based in Tel Aviv that offers people-centered solutions to organizations and companies that seek to enhance their social impact in international development and humanitarian settings. Mindset PCS is a partner organization of Olam, and we participate in workshops and strategic discussions around key issues in the sectors and other learning experiences.
A major concern in rural communities is lack of access to water and sanitation, one of the leading causes to malnutrition and death among children. NALA has made an unprecedented impact in reducing the prevalence of diarrheal diseases by partnering with these communities using advanced community engagement and education methodologies and innovative solutions for increased water access. GPM and NALA share common values of humility, partnership, and innovation, and we partner with GPM so we can achieve this impact in the rural communities surrounding Mumbai, where GPM has been working towards the elimination of malnutrition.
There is a sub-district in Palghar, Maharashtra, which has been in the news for malnutrition deaths. And this is one of the reasons that GPM created a project called Bal Balwan Mission, or Healthy Child Mission, in partnership with the government's Integrated Child Development Services. And this project was approached through a multi-pronged method. It not just focused on nutrition, but it also focused on healthcare, water sanitation, hygiene, and actually understanding the difficulties that the mothers in the community faced. The experience that NALA has in combating diseases that lead to malnutrition was a perfect fit for us in this project.
In my role, I support CARE's over 100 country offices in some of the most crisis and conflict-affected locations throughout the world. I help to make sure that the stories of these people with whom we work and whom we serve are told in honest and transparent ways about the challenges and opportunities that they face. Earlier this year, I deployed to Haiti in response to the August 2021 earthquake. In Haiti, I met some of the most resilient people that I have ever met, who had lost everything, lost their homes, lost their livelihoods, and in some cases lost members of their families. And we were working with them to help them rebuild their lives after the earthquake. And part of my job was to make sure that the stories we were telling of this resilience was honest and true. Similarly, I also deployed to Poland following the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine earlier this year. I worked with Ukrainian refugees who had just crossed the border carrying only a suitcase and maybe a case carrying a cat or a dog. Some of these people had left everything back in Ukraine and were looking to go to Poland or somewhere else, either for safety for a brief period of time or perhaps to completely rebuild their lives outside of their home country. The resilience of the Ukrainian people that I met when I was in Poland is something that will stay with me forever. These are people that are showing incredible resilience in working to make sure that they are caring for their families, for their loved ones, and are creating the opportunity for a new future in a new place somewhere else in the world.
Over the past year, we've been working on the creation and support of the first consortium of women-led and youth-led community-based organization in South Sudan called RISE South Sudan. the complexity of today's crisis is calling, as you know, for more people-led solutions and generally more locally led decision making. So many in the humanitarian community have been talking about localization, which is promoting local response to local problems. However, in practice, local NGOs and community-based organizations are not leading humanitarian processes in humanitarian settings like South Sudan. So this is why a group of local organizations in South Sudan joined forces to access more equitably information and opportunities in the humanitarian sector and advance channels in which they can more effectively lead humanitarian processes that concerns their communities. And so Mindset PCS has been supporting the launch of this group and works on building bridges between that consortium and international actors, donors, and mechanisms.
NALA is working to ensure that healthy children reach their full potential and that communities are able to promote their own members' health and lead initiatives to combat hunger and poverty. I also hope to continue to collaborate with locally based organizations in order to reach higher impact.
Communities in India have been historically disadvantaged both socially and economically. Gabriel Project Mumbai sees a future where there's a rebalancing of resources and opportunities in rural communities. We envision tribal communities gaining access to quality healthcare services through the various multi-sectoral interventions that GPM has initiated in Mokhada.
We have so much to look forward to in the coming year, but unfortunately, some of the challenges that we've faced in the last couple of years will continue with us in the next year. And those include things like COVID-19, climate change, and conflict. In the coming year, though, the lessons that we've learned from the last couple of years will help us do our work even better. One of those ways that I'm excited about the work of the coming year is to further localize the work that we're doing. This includes things like being more honest with the people that we're working in the ways that we're telling stories, and particularly in the way that they're telling the stories themselves. These last couple of years have been really challenging, but they've given us an opportunity to learn from the mistakes that we've made. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is that honesty, is making sure that we're reflecting the true values, both of ourselves and of the people that we serve and who we learn from, and making sure that we're telling honest and true stories about the challenges and opportunities that they're facing in the year ahead.
For the locally led development agenda to truly advance, we need at least three things. First, there is a clear need to redefine power relations between international and national actors. We believe in the need to reallocate responsibilities amongst international and local entities, with international agencies focusing more on behind the scenes technical support or more facilitation roles, greater investment in promoting local resilience. Second, more investment in anticipatory action is needed for the sector to reinvent its relationship with communities and with local respondents. And technology can be key to support that process. And finally, to support more genuinely locally led humanitarian and development work, there is a need to explore alternative financing. And we should not hesitate to be bold about it. For example, exploring creative ways of engaging the private sector beyond the philanthropy-oriented corporate social responsibility or community philanthropy to provide more flexible and longer-term funding. So bottom line, in 2022, I long for less philosophical discourses about locally led development and more genuine action. And I invite the OLAM network to be more engaged in these efforts to shake up the status quo. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our speakers for the inspiring work you do and for sharing it with us. We will now do a final round of networking in small breakout rooms, so please stick around for a bit longer. Again, please say who you are, where you're located, what you do, and this time, feel free to share what is a cause that you care deeply about. So we will send you into breakout rooms for about 10 minutes, and then we'll close up back together here. Enjoy. Okay, thank you for spending this time with us. Before I let you go, I wanted to share the world map once more so we can see where people are from in this opening plenary. So let's take a look together. Okay, so we surprisingly have many people over in the Middle East, in Israel. I see we have people coming in, logging in from Maharashtra, India. We have Ethiopia, Victoria Falls. I wish I was there as well. The UK, amazing. Many from the East Coast, including we have Nova Scotia, Halifax. This is now my bucket list of all the places I want to visit. Vermont, a few people here with me in Washington, DC, New York City, Denver, Colorado, Seattle, Washington, a couple from LA, and I think the last I see here is in South Africa. So amazing that we can bring people together. Definitely one of the big benefits of virtual programming. As much as I miss being with people in person, it's great to see all of you from around the world. So with that, I will close our opening session. I really look forward to seeing you virtually and in person in the next few days. If you are hosting or if you're participating in a brain date session, you will find the sessions show up on the website 5 minutes before, so make sure to head over there. And if you are an Olam Partner CEO, we hope to see you at the Executive Matters session as well. We wish you a meaningful and exciting Focal Point Fest. Have a good day and night wherever you are, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much, everyone.